Today, folks, we got to talk about a company that has the real near-term potential to be producing 160,000 ounces of palladium per year, a whopping 42 million pounds of copper per year, and has exposure to platinum, gold, silver. I think there's going to be a shift as a lot of value has driven into the precious metal markets of gold and silver, but is less looking at the critical metal supply side of it. And Generation Mining is one stock that I want to talk about that has $1 billion net present value, trading for around 143 million in its market cap, that is on the forefront, basically shovel ready to start building out from its pre-feasibility study. This company trades on the TSE under GENM. This company did reach out to me as part of sponsored content. I'm leaving all the disclaimers down in the description below. This does not constitute financial advice. It just represents opinions of my own for entertainment value. But the stock is trading up 237% year to date and is recovering from some of the lows that it had experienced in the past as it starts unlocking this real value. So let's just dive into Generation Mining, and we're also going to hear from the CEO on a recent interview. If you enjoy these kind of companies, consider hitting that like button, because I really believe these kind of junior exploration companies that have kind of pre-built out some of the feasibility and de-risk the assets have some real major upside potential. But diving into this is a tier 1 jurisdiction in northwestern Ontario, Canada, which is basically my home province. It's nice seeing companies operating in my backyard, shovel ready, with all necessary permits required for construction are approved. Major quote there, guys. Trading at a substantial discount to its peers, approximately 20% of net present value, and strong support from local Indigenous communities and the town of Marathon, provincial and federal governments. If you take a look, guys, palladium, copper, platinum, this is the core focus of Generation, and there's good reason for this. I know a lot of people have been focusing on gold, silver. You've got many central banks around the world bolstering their balance sheets with gold, specifically China, who's looking to potentially utilize gold to back its currency, the yuan. But outside of that, these metals are the metals powering tomorrow's infrastructure. I mean, electric vehicles use what, 4 or 5 times the amount of copper than traditional ICE vehicles, guys. I mean, we're not even talking about wind, solar, the fact that the entire electricity system still needs to be maintained and upgraded from the old wires and lines that exist out there, and there are no better metals that can be required for these upgrades. This is why we're saying, like, it's why copper's trading at record highs, decade highs here, at $5 per pound. I mean, palladium trading at pretty crazy highs for the year. Platinum, all these metals are a lot more or less discussed in the community over the traditional, gold and silver, right? So taking a look at deeper where the project is, their Marathon palladium platinum, gold, copper project is kind of right in the midst of some majors out there, like the Barrick Helmo gold mine, the Alamos Island gold mine, the Equinox, right on the edge of Lake Superior here, guys. So it's a fairly familiar area, especially if you live in Canada. You probably recognize where this is. And if you take a look from that feasibility study back in March, again, $1 billion in net present value, a 1.9 year payback period. The initial capital is going to be about $992 million, and the after-tax IRR is about 28%. Again, this is presuming, again, you go back to March, guys, and you look at where some of these metals are at since then. Like, these are pretty conservative numbers, in my opinion, right? And this could change, obviously, and fluctuate. And back in June, the company did announce that they closed out an $11.5 million private placement, helping bolster some of that cash flow to start building out the production here. And it's likely that they're probably going to need some more cash moving forward. But with these kind of fundamentals, I don't think they're going to have a hard time building out the operations with the demand behind these metals. So lots to take a look at here. And I want to listen to the CEO himself, who was recently on Crux Investor. Just take a quick listen, because he gives much better perspective on this than I will.
Okay, so we are developing a project just outside the town of Marathon, Northern Ontario, north side of Lake Superior. We have our final permits. We just announced a feasibility study March of 2025, where we'll be producing about 160,000 ounces of palladium a year, about 42 million pounds of copper a year, some platinum, gold, and silver. It's a very big project, gold equivalent, palladium equivalent, could be upwards of 250, 300,000 ounces of palladium equivalent, 150 million pounds of copper equivalent a year. So it's a fairly large size project, simple, open pit mining, low strip 3-to-1. And we're looking to start building as soon as we can. And we're bringing in an operating team that could hopefully build this properly for us. Right. And I think that is the next step that will be a catalyst for us before we get through the financial investment decisions. I want to make sure we have the right team if we're going to build it. For the First Nations, for the town of Marathon, and for Canada and the world, we want to make sure that we have the right team to build this properly.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, obviously, you've been waiting as well as the market been waiting. You've been waiting to be able to enact some of these ideas. Okay, money-wise today, balance sheet looks like what, and what is it aimed at?
We have about 12 million in cash. That
Yeah.
can last us a long time, but we want to kind of deploy that money as fast as we can because we want to get to that financial investment decision where we'll need to raise a capital of just over $1 billion.
Right, okay. So when you say nothing else you really need to do, obviously there's going to be a few things that you're going to be deploying capital against. So what precisely is that? What's the time frame?
Well, we are engaged with the banks, and I think some of the listeners will remember we had mandate letters with senior lenders of Societe Generale, ING, and Export Development Corporation in Canada for upwards of $400 million US. We have a stream with $200 million with Wheaton Precious. We're going to have to worry about filling up the rest of the capital, and we're looking to look for some subordinated debt pieces and some critical metal funding that seem readily available from the Canadian government and the provincial government in Ontario right now. So we're looking to have a fully financed package, hopefully, sometime later on this year or early next year.
On that note, I'm going to pass the question off to you. I'd love to know what you think about generation mining down in that description below, and any other juniors out there that you're personally exploring that you think have massive potential upside into the future in this new kind of precious metal renaissance. And consider subscribing as news and catalysts come down the wire. Of course, I'll bring it to you here. But on that, as always, I look forward to catching you in the next one.